from the sector minister as he assures transparency and diligence in the deal.
There are proposals right now in talk. The Attorney General is having a look, SIGA is having a look, Finance Ministry. Because you're saying journalists will come and say, government has so told to his cronies if we don't get it right. We'll work diligently to give Ghanaians what is good.
But tonight there's a lot more in the energy sector, with the Independent Power Producers IPPs officially notifying the Finance Ministry about his threat to cut power supply by June 30. My name is Blessed Suga, and top story as always is brought to you by Vodafone Further Together. We start off with the report we're receiving that the police officer has been shot and killed during a robbery incident at Ablikuma. My colleague Richard Kojinyako has a copy of a statement released by the police service on this incident, joins us in studio with details on this. Richard, what are the highlights of the statement?
Well, Blessed, the police indicate that they are on a manhunt to arrest a gang of 4 robbers who attacked a bullion van at Ablikuma Fanmok, a suburb of Accra, and shot the police escort, who has unfortunately passed on. They continue by saying that their prayers and thoughts are with the family of the deceased colleague in particular and all personnel of the police service in general. They end by assuring the public that they will surely get the robbers arrested to face justice.
Unfortunate day indeed for that service person. Are we getting any further details on what's next for the Ghana Police Service?
Well, so this is the only statement they have put out, and they conclude that they are investigating the matter and they will brief the public adequately.
I expect Joy News to bring you updates as and when we have them. But the focus for tonight, as opinions and strong views remain divided on the proposed Tema Oil Refinery 6-year lease agreement with a private company, Torrentco. It is emerging that the Public Procurement Authority PPA rejected the Tema Oil Refinery's request for a single-sourced arrangement for that deal. The Public Procurement Authority further directed the Tema Oil Refinery to refer the PPP committee of the Ministry of Finance for consideration pursuant to what it is that the Public-Private Partnership Act of 2020 dictates. Let's get more from our presidential correspondent, Elton Brobe, who has details on this very arrangement, plus what we're learning from the Public Procurement Authority, including this latest directive from the PPA as well, and the response from the sector minister. Here's what you need to know, that government for now is planning to lease Tema Oil Refinery to this private company, Torrentco, as we understand. And as part of the process, we know that it will happen between a 6-year period, which will be a lease. But why is the PPA rejecting Tema Oil Refinery's agreement to take a single-sourced approach? That's what I need, of course, further clarity from my colleague Elton Brobe, who's our presidential correspondent, getting some details coming through to our desk now. Elton, what do we know? Because you've been studying the PPA's response to the request for a single-source procurement to engage a strategic partner for the Tema Oil Refinery lease transaction. So just tell us more about what this document is saying and why PPA is of this view.
All right, so Blessed, the information we have, the document...
Elton, are you still with us?
Hello, Blessed.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
All right, so I was talking about the information that we have, and this is a letter that was written to the PPA by the managing director of the Tema Oil Refinery, Jerry Kofi Henson. And the letter he wrote to PPA requested to adopt single source procurement to engage strategic partner for the Tema Oil Refinery. And the letter, the response from the PPA dated 15th June 2023 says, we refer to your letter, and the letter, the reference is quoted here. and earlier correspondence on the subject above. That is the request by TOR to adopt single source procurement to engage a partner for the refinery. Now, the board sat on this matter and came to a decision on the 15th of June. And the response to the request said the PPA board considered the following full complements of documents submitted by the TOR, that Tema Oil Refinery, in explanation, clarification, and support of the request. Now, the TOR made certain demands, and the supporting documents included composition of the SPV, corporate profile of Terenco Asset Management, draft lease agreement dated 22nd 2022 between TOR and Terenco Asset Management Limited, and due diligence report, public record review of the proposed transaction to lease certain assets of TOR to Terenco Asset Management Limited. Also, a revised request via letter, and the reference again is quoted, forwarding the following outline of the three principal partners that would partner Terenco. Terenco principal resume, Terenco principal stakeholders presentation, company profile of select members of the consortium, draft lease agreement, initiated processing agreement with Pontus. A lot of explanation is attached to this. Also, Terenco agreement and business plan, letter of ownership of crude oil, Vitor off-taker letter. Now, the response from the board of the PPA says that they found the request that seeks to enter into the lease agreement with Terenco Asset Management Limited and its partners to enable TOR set up to start a refining process, which is actually a core mandate of TOR, and help restore TOR to profitability. It is proposed under the partnership agreement between TOR and Terenco that TOR shall lease to Terenco all of its assets, excluding its laboratory, residual food catalytic cracker, rights of way, throughput and tie-in, shares and dividends. Now, PPS says that upon careful consideration of the above documents and engagement with TOR, they came to the conclusion that the request be referred to the Public-Private Partnership Committee of the Ministry of Finance for consideration pursuant to the Public-Private Partnership Act 2020 at 1093. The Act applies to, among others, public sector projects undertaken in the form of a partnership arrangement between a contracting authority and private party. And it goes on to also explain the operations and maintenance arrangement as defined under the schedule in the Act. And their final position, again, makes reference to the fact that they may not be able to grant the sole source request that TOR had put in, but referred TOR again to the Ministry of Finance, private-public arrangement that has a law backing it. And this is signed by Frank Mante, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Public Procurement Authority, addressed to Jerry Kofi Hennessy, Managing Director of TOR.
And that's presidential correspondent Elton Broby giving us a detailed account of why the public procurement authorities of the view that a single source procurement may not be the best in finding a partner for the Tema Oil Refinery. Well, the Energy Minister, Dr. Matthew Poku-Prempeh, has been wading into all of that, says the government is fully committed to transparency and diligence in the Tema Oil Refinery's proposed 6-year lease agreement with a private company, Terenco, ascending to revamp the facility. Some civil society organizations have in the last few weeks raised concerns about the deal, which will see some of TOR's key assets handed the company to enable it to refine up to 8 million barrels of oil per year. Vice President of Imani Africa, Bright Simmons, says the transaction will not solve the refinery's current challenges.
Trying to remedy is basically to restart the refinery, because the refinery has not been producing since sometime around March 2021. My position is that the transaction will not solve the problems of the Tema Oil Refinery.
Why?
And for that, we need to first start off with what are the problems, right?
Yeah.
And then we can conclude that it doesn't work. So the problems are primarily threefold. The first problem is that the refinery often doesn't have working capital to import crude, refine it, sell it, and pay back on good time.
Okay.
If the creditors give it credit, it's because of the previous challenge that it had, and it has to keep servicing debt and the rest of it. It keeps making losses, which keeps accumulating. The second problem is that the equipment are not in the most pristine state. So that also means that productivity is not very high. And the third problem is that for a long time, politicians keep packing the board and the management with their favorites. That's made it very difficult to make strategic decisions that are sensible, rational, and the best interests of the company. So those are the three key problems. Now, our challenge with this deal is that it doesn't solve any of the three problems well, and it will worsen these problems.
Well, he's also been questioning the capacity of Torrent Co.
More important than not, a lot of the strength of this consortium, a lot of the appeal of this consortium lies in the fact that they claim Vitol, which is a global renowned commodity trading company, will give them the crude oil. But the documents that we've reviewed suggest that Vitol is not going to give them this because Vitol has not made any commitment to it. It's made it very clear that it's only expressed an interest to have conversations if the company is granted the lease. So there is really nothing concrete as to where they will get the crude oil to refine, where they will get the money to maintain the factory, and where is the technical capacity to revamp the refinery. So that's our number one problem.
Well, it's not just the vice president of Imani Africa, Bright Simons, that has an issue with this whole arrangement. The ranking member on the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, John Jinapor, is also wading in. He wants the transaction, the entire transaction, to be put on hold.
If you do the analysis, you're simply not going to make any progress. But even more is the fact that they took this agreement to the Public Procurement Authority for approval, knowing that there is a Public-Private Partnership Act which stipulates that you must go to the Ministry of Finance and meet the PPA committee for an assessment before going to Public Procurement Authority. So if the Public Procurement Authority had not restricted them, you'd have had a major problem. And if you read the PPA letter, it does appear that there are several sub agreements. So I think that government should pull the brakes, do further consultation, consult stakeholders, i.e. members of parliament, industry players, civil societies such as MANI and SF, and all those people, so that we can together fashion a way of dealing with Thor. You cannot deal with Thor's problem in a firefighting approach. It will not work.
And that's the ranking on the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, John Jinapor. It appears an earlier warning was sounded by the Petroleum Union Staff Association, who say their call for management to pull the brakes on the entire deal have been ignored. Anthony Kumson is chairperson of the Petroleum Union Staff Association.
As workers, we asked for requisite information to understand the transaction that was ongoing. We're given the lease agreement, we perused it, we saw all the inconsistencies and the misrepresentations in it. We drew management attention to it, we drew board attention to it, and we only blacklisted and blackmailed. As we speak now, the refinery has two other options on its table. It has legacy capital that has come to survey the plant, have discussion with management, done presentation. Then we have Falcon American Oil that has done safe. Last week, the entire week, Falcon was with the refinery, did the presentation, engaged all staff, toured the plant, and they are yet to bring their proposal.
We know that the Energy Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, in an earlier interview with the media, explained that the rationale behind this very deal and assured government will negotiate the best deal for the country. My colleague James Kwesi is joining us. He was with the team when the minister spoke. And James, take us back to the day when he hinted about this very deal and how the issue about Tor came up. What was the response from the minister?
Okay, blessed. So on the 20th of June, when the minister joined the ECG team on their revenue mobilization exercise, that issue came up. In fact, he said that he had earlier presented a business opportunity to Tor to take up condensates that actually come from the power producing companies and turn this condensate into premix fuel. And so he thought that that work would have in some way or the other get Tor occupied while they work around the clock in order to get money to revamp Tor actually. And so he gave them that opportunity. The first batch of condensate that was sent to Tor at the time was worth some 2.5 million US dollars. But at the end of the day, when he asked about that, the response he got was that not even $1 worth of condensate was found, which means that the $2.5 million condensate that was sent to Tor got missing. And so it was on the 20th of June that he gave this assurance.
But then he's been giving an assurance about the deal itself and its essence to revamping Tor.
Exactly. So it was on the back of this condensate getting missing that he said, look, he's not giving up. He's already put together some new deal to give to Tor, but he's consulting some stakeholders to make sure that this deal goes through due diligence so that at the end of the day it achieves the purpose for which he's sending it there to make Tor work again. We can listen to him make the point.
It's easy to always say there's a sector minister, and as soon as the minister does something, the minister is interfering. We all have to decide as a country what we want. We live under the type of system that we want. I can tell you as a minister what I've done. They have over $500 million of debt sitting on there, and go and look at how the debt's accumulated. People bring their crude to refine, and then crude losses. I set up a committee that worked for 8 months just trying to reconcile Tor losses. You don't pay taxes for it to be a drain. You pay taxes for an efficient function of government. Government, I can tell you, is doing so much work to bring Tor together. As we speak, there are proposals lying down in Tor. The Attorney General is having a look, SIGA is having a look, Finance Ministry. Because you're saying journalists will come and say, government has sold Tor to its cronies if we don't get it right. And getting it right is a difficult proposition that we are putting out. And we'll work diligently to give Ghanaians what is good. Sure. So if Tor is come to work, it has to come with the efficiencies for which it can allow to participate in the market. We are not going to say Tor because Tor is Tor. Tor will bring in petrol products that me and you cannot buy. You will turn around and tell, the old system was better, right? Mm-hmm. So we'll work to get it right.
And it's a good time to hear from Jojo Kumse, who's the chairperson of the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Works Union. Of course, we're also being joined by Edward Barr, who's on the side of the minority. He also works closely with John Jinapor on the Mines and Energy Committee in Parliament. Thank you, gentlemen, for spending some time with us. Let me start off with you, Mr. Kumse, because you work in the sector, and we've heard from, for instance, other unions, those who work at Tor, particularly the senior staff members, who say that this deal is the best way out for Tor in terms of revamping the assets. What view do you hold collectively as Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union?
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for your listening. We actually are very open to any credible partner with enough capacity to help revamp Tor, and that's our general position. We are prepared to examine all the due diligence, every report, every documentation that pertains to whoever the partner may be, and assist management to make sure that we have a credible partner on table, where we will not run in a short while and come back to begin to tell Ghanaians another story. No. So this is our position. We have always wanted the right things for the refinery, and this is all that we will push for.
But then we know that there's an assurance coming through from the government itself, particularly the energy minister, indicating that, well, it's the best way out. Should we not take that and believe that that's enough?
I listened to the voice audio you played about him from the minister. Frankly speaking, could they have said the same thing for ECG PDS scandal? It went through all this. So we, as much as we are concerned, We respect the position of the Energy Ministry, but we want to sound the caution per the documentations we have seen. And we hope that they will all pay keen attention to the things that are happening at all and make sure that the best deal is given to the refinery. That's our position.
But then, Jojo, just hold on for us. Let's hear from Edward Bauer as well, who's also on with us. And earlier we heard from John Jinapo, your colleague on the committee. You have a raft of concerns. In fact, you want the whole deal to be put on hold based on some transparency issues. But you also agree that government is in dire need of a plan to revamp TOR. It's been part of the president's broad agenda. So how do we make that work without, freezing this deal?
Yeah, good evening, Evans. But first and foremost, let me state very clearly that I don't think that the minority is against bringing in a private partner to work with TOR. That being said, we also do know very clearly that since 2021 thereabout, the TOR has not been operational. So if government is attempting to bring the private sector into play in this particular scenario, our first question we want to ask is that before inviting the private sector to come, has there been any audit, technical and financial audit of the whole setup, the plant? Has there been that audit? What were the findings? What were the recommendations? It is based on the findings and recommendations that government then will be armed to know what type of private partner that will be seeking. So that we do not know. If it has been done, what is the report or what is the recommendation? That's the first thing. Two, over the period, we have also been aware as a committee that there have been private sector players who have expressed interest in partaking in the TOR story. The question then is that what is the motivation for government to have selected a company that was just formed in January 2023 on the basis of just sole sourcing to take up this? The question you will ask on this particular company is that does it have the financial and then technical capability to be able to to do what they say they can do? Two, do they even have the appropriate licenses to be able to even operate within the downstream sector? Three, do they have qualified technical or maybe financial partners who can really work on the proposals they've given in the agreement that they have made? And one of the issues that we have come to realize very carefully is the fact that if you listen to what Evan Bashimon talks about in terms of the profit margins, depending on what happens, the question is that how transparent is the profit sharing? We do not know all this. So you see that there's a big problem in terms of transparency. And if you read what the government proposes in terms of the agreement and what they think, the intent of this particular agreement, they are talking of the fact that they want to ensure that TOR becomes profitable. But in the same agreement, they are indicating that the lessee, that is TAML, will only concentrate on the CDU. The question then is that how viable is this operating just the CDU? How viable was the economic viability of just operating the CDU? Particularly when you are not going to add the RFCC. And if you ask the colleague who is there, who is working in the sector, he will tell you that you need both units to really make that particular asset become a bit more profitable. So we have all these challenges that we think that have not been very transparent. But I'm happy that at least one state institution has worked and has done something very well in making us follow the laws. And I think that's what John Jinapo spoke about. The fact that the PPA, that's the Public Procurement Authority, has asked the TOR board to refer the transaction to the Public-Private Partnership, committee of the Ministry of Finance, as per the Act 1039, to scrutinize the deal. Because look, we all want TOR to work, but at the same time, we do not want one to be short-term. Two, we do not want a situation where people just come and don't know exactly what they are doing. And we'll come back to, just as my colleague on the other side said, that will go into the PDS scandal. That is something that we cannot do.
Here's what we need to do. Edward Bauer, blessed here, by the way. Let's look for solutions, the alternative. Let me start off with you, Jojo Kumsin. Aside this deal, is there a way out really for TOR?
Yes. You see, the way out for TOR is public-private partnership. Let the process be transparent. Open it up for other participants to tender in their bid. And then we have an objective and transparent means of assessing all these partners, and the credible one that passes the test is made to align with the tomorrow refinery so that it can operate.
And for you, Edward, is it not much more about capital as compared to who is investing into Tor?
We've done it before with a public entity. We did it with GOIL. GOIL was a public entity. And what we did is the government decided to hold on into a minority shareholding structure, everything, and then invite private sector to invest. And that is why GOIL has become one of the most viable oil marketing companies in this country. And so we have an example to emulate. So if we can follow the GOIL approach and make everything look transparent, and with the GOIL one, because it is also listed in the stock exchange, every bit of their processes is transparent and everybody can see and know that if I'm investing in a city, I know what type of returns I get. So we have an example to emulate, and GOIL is there for us to emulate.
Grateful, gentlemen, to Jojo Kumson, chairperson of the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union, and also to Edward Bauer, member of the Mines and Energy Committee in Parliament. And that's it for Top Story. News Night is next. We understand tonight that the IPPs have officially notified the Finance Ministry about its threat to cut power supply by June 30. Will Doomsaw return? That's the big question we're answering on News Night. Please stay.
Brother Bernard.
Yes.
Onia, this morning I'm very hungry. Please, let's go and buy gobe. This time, I want her to add small salad, really, small talia, and soft cocoa, specially made for me. You know how I like to customize my food.
Hey, because of what? You think say you buy Vodafone made for me bundle offers? Star 530 hash is the code to get the best value offers made just for you for as low as 1 Ghana cedi.
Hey, Brother Bernard, so you've been hiding Vodafone made for me bundles from me?
Oh, just dial star 530 hash. Feel special with the Vodafone made for me bundle offers. Get unbeatable best value offers from voice, data, or voice plus data bundles made just for you. Dial star 530 hash to subscribe to Vodafone made for me bundle offers or download my Vodafone app today.
Vodafone, further together.
Wouldn't you prefer an apartment hotel? One that offers the utmost convenience of a boutique hotel while offering the idyllic comfort of your own private home. Oasis Park Residences offers luxury studios, 1, 2 and 3 bedrooms both for short and long-term rental at competitive rates. Our sky swimming pool, gourmet outdoor restaurant and a fully equipped gym rest on a breathtaking rooftop with panoramic views of the city. Oasis Park Residences, located at Shiashi Tetekwashi, 10 minutes from the international airport, is the ideal place for all your accommodation needs. Why don't you give us a call on 020-4343-009 or visit our website at oasisparkresidences.com to make your reservations. Oasis Park Residences, more than a home.
I've got Bell Pack and I won't let go.
My name is Nanama McBrown. Many people think I get what I want anytime because I am popular. No, that is not true. It is because me and Kasano, I like the best, and when I find it, I stick to it. I have found Bell Pack Tea Roll, and I'm stuck with it. It is soft but not weak, strong but not hard. It is just perfect. Bell Pack Tea Roll is smooth and gentle on the skin. Same as Bell Pack Kitchen Towel. It cleans in one wipe. You can soak, squeeze, and clean again. One Bell Pack Kitchen Towel lasts longer and saves you money. It's time you switch to Bell Pack today and experience the perfect paper tissue. Say pocket tissue, table napkins, tea roll, and a kitchen towel. Paper chow. Bell Pack is simply the best. Bell Pack, just perfect.
To be a Bell Pack distributor, call 055-11-44400. Another quality product from Bell Aqua.
Nothing feels so good like Bell Pack.
Live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra, in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM. This is News Night. And in the next 60 minutes, 4 persons, including 6-year-old boy, dead and 3 missing following yesterday's downpour in the Greater Accra region and Ashanti.
We have so far 3 casualties, which did happen last night, an additional one that happened this morning.
The news report suggests that a lady and 2 of her kids are currently missing since yesterday.
Tonight, we'll take you to Parliament as Speaker directs Finance as well as Works and Housing Ministers to appear before the House to brief MPs on measures taken to prevent flash floods with the rains setting in.
The instructions are to the effect that the Minister responsible for Works and Housing be programmed by the Business Committee to appear before the House together with the Minister for Finance.
Also, Minority Leader Dr. Kaisel Atuforsen secures court order to compel his fellow NDC member and former Health Minister Alex Segbefia to testify in ambulance trial. We have details as the court warns it will order the arrest of Mr. Segbefia and 2 others should they fail to show up. Also, Speaker of Parliament demands immediate removal of taxes on sanitary pads, describing the tax as unconscionable and a sin.
Why should we pass a law imposing tax on sanitary pads? This is unconscionable. It's a cardinal sin. The next budget, it must not appear. It cannot be a tax. Please.
We have details as a group of protesters petition Parliament over the matter, demanding action.
This is about the taxes on sanitary pads. We are saying that it needs to go away. We can't continue something as basic and, humanity at its core, at its base, like parrots.
But the AGI maintains a removal of taxes on imported sanitary pads will collapse the local industry and sink the economy.
And in business, 4 tanker drivers set to strike from Monday over poor road conditions in the Tema Enclave and other fuel depots in the country.
And in sports, we hear from members of parliament who've been eulogizing former Black Stars captain Asamoah Gyan following his retirement from professional football.
And later, from 2 suspected cases to almost 100 confirmed cattle deaths in 6 districts of the Upper East region, authorities are stepping up vaccination of cattle, goats, sheep and pigs to avoid nationwide spread of anthrax.
Even this morning, we had 2 animals dying in Bolga here, and we've taken samples and sent it to Pont Tamale.
That and more in tonight's edition of Newsnight. Please do well to join us with your thoughts and comments. Via WhatsApp is 055 1111997. You're watching us live on Facebook or social media platforms. You can tweet at us or share your thoughts with us with the hashtag Newsnight. I am Emefa Apau. Many thanks for your company. This is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. We start off with a flooding situation in the Greater Accra and Ashanti regions, and already 4 persons, including a 6-year-old boy, they've drowned and 3 are gone missing following yesterday's downpour in the Greater Accra and Ashanti regions. The victims drowned in the Owabi stream with the rest being swept away by the flash floods at Sepase Bisiase. Love FM Sirastos Asari Donko spoke with the Ashanti Regional NADMO Director Frank Dodu.
As you witnessed yesterday, the rain was heavy. We have so far 3 casualties, which did happen last night, an additional one that happened this morning. The first one did happen at Tafu, which the person is young, still on course to get the data because we are not able to reach out to the family. So we are yet to have the full details of the one, which presumably is under 10 years old. And we have that also right where we are at Tafua, which did happen yesterday. And this morning, when the rescue team, that's the fire service, NADMO, and other people helping to rescue, we got to know that a brother also decided that he would fall his way into the river, and he also got drowned. And the other one is that of Sepase Bisiase, which also did occur yesterday. So far we have 4 casualties.
What circumstances led to their deaths?
That of the Bisiase, the guy was on a motorbike. He insisted that he would want to cross the bridge, and unlucky for him, the river carried him away. Same as that of Atafua here. Even people who were standing by waiting for the rain to capsize down so that once the river goes down, he'll be able to cross, advised, but he insisted that he would want to go. He carried his bike, and when the bike fell, then trying to go, he decided to rescue the bike, and both of them also went. And the brother, from what I told you this morning, a libation was poured for the rescue team to undertake the search, but he decided that he will go in, and immediately he entered. In less than a minute, he was also carried away. And the other one is at Tafo, same as crossing a bridge, a young child who was crossing a bridge, then it did happen. But all these things could have been avoided. If you look at the releases and dedications that have been going on for the past 4 months, there are things that could have been avoided.
Well, so that's the Ashanti Regional NADMO Director, Frank Dudu. Rather sad situation there. 4 persons, including a 6-year-old, they've drowned in the Ashanti region following the downpour there, and 3 persons are also missing. My colleague Erastus Osaridonko has been following this for us. Thankfully, he joins us on the line. Well, Erastus, in Accra here was up to about 4 hours of rainfall, and we're still looking at the situation here. Let's talk about how long it was in the Ashanti region, such that 4 persons lost their lives.
Well, so it wasn't quite a long time of heavy rain. It was heavy in some areas, but not too heavy to the extent that you have major flooding in many parts of Kumasi. But when you look at areas where these drownings are being reported, the Atafwa Bridge is a flood-prone area. When it rains slightly, you find the Owabi stream overflow in its banks, and so vehicles that are plying that bridge cannot go and come. Indeed, the bridge is currently under construction and leaving a narrow space for vehicles to travel through. I understand that this gentleman who was using a bicycle was advised not to cross the rushing waters, but he decided to do so, and he was swept away. Now, his brother this morning went with a rescue team to the area. He decided to go in and look for the brother. When they advised him that they should wait for the divers to come, he waded into it, and he started drowning. But unfortunately, the person who was there to rescue him did not know how to swim, and so he also drowned. It was just this evening that his body was retrieved from the Owabi stream.
And I'm sure in your interaction with the NADMO director, at least he's been telling you about the 4 persons, including the 6-year-old who drowned, amongst others. But the 3 missing persons, I'm sure just before you came on air, you've been checking again. Any news on them?
Well, so if I should get you the names of these people, the 6-year-old boy has been identified as Lovik Ata Odro, and he drowned at Tafo. There's an area called Kwame Sechi electoral area. With the Besiansi Sepasi area, the gentleman who died is a 45-year-old man called Konlam Kwame. And at Tafwa, Kweku Abuaje was the one who died trying to retrieve the bicycle. And his brother is John Kwame Asuman, 57, who also died, and his body was retrieved just this evening. And so these are the names as they have been identified.
Well, thank you so much. That's my colleague Erastus Asaridonko with the situation in the Ashanti region. Here in the Greater Accra, it was a heated matter on the floor of Parliament, with MPs questioning the country's preparedness to prevent floods with the onset of the rains. Well, Minority Chief Whip Governs Kwame Agbuja delivered a statement on the floor, and he said 3 persons are currently missing in the Greater Accra region, with some communities cut off as a result of the torrential rains.
Out of the downpour yesterday, areas specifically Botiano, English, Amount from constituency, which belongs to one of our colleagues, got heavily flooded, Mr. Speaker, and as a result, the news reports suggest that a lady and 2 of her kids are currently missing since yesterday. I take the opportunity to commend the agencies still working to hopefully find them alive. We are also aware that some people are injured, and lots of properties have been damaged. Mr. Speaker, we want to take the opportunity to commiserate with our colleague, Honorable Sly Tete, who is a member of Parliament from that area. I suspect he's within the area now, trying to do whatever he can do as a member of Parliament to help his people. We also understand that areas like part of Ofankor and Ashalaja, some areas have been cut off completely because of the flooding. And Mr. Speaker, the rains have just started. The Wager Dam is yet even to be spilled. And this calls for this House to probably call upon our respected colleague, the Minister, responsible for Works and Housing, to apprise the House as to what steps he is taking to avert further damage and loss.
Well, I'll take you to Peace Town near Kaswa in the Gasat municipality where my colleague Maxwell Agbagba has been. But the situation will go to Parliament again because there's some action that they're hoping to take on this particular situation. Well, in the Pung Katamanso constituency also, floods have destroyed the town roads and displaced scores of residents. Joy News' Carlos Caloni is there for us. He joins us on the line with details of what he's found so far. So, Carlos, which specific roads or areas have you visited in the area, and what can you say about the estate?
So, MFA, I've been to the Pumbaria to Misha Camp Road, which is less than 5 kilometers. I've also been to the Yellow Signboard to the Gulf City Road, and then the Saki to Bediaku Road, as well as the Bechile Junction to Bediaku. All these roads put together, you are looking at less than 10 kilometers of road. But MFI, I can say for a fact that all these roads are very deplorable. And I also noticed that many shops along this roads were all locked up. When I tried speaking with some of the shop owners and the residents, they keep telling me, and because of the state of the road, that's how come they have to lock up their shop, because business has actually gone down.
Well, but you've been interacting with the MC for the area. What indication does he give you?
So the MC of the area, Samuel Oko Amankwa, actually expressed some grave concerns over the state of the road within the municipality in general, specifically those in the Saki area. And so we can take a listen to what he's been telling us so far.
We have submitted all the challenges we have on all the roads you just mentioned and more to the road minister, Abakwata. We have a copy that has gone to the Urban Roads Director General and then that of Highways. The Calypso one to Michelle Camp and then Bediako Roads, actually they've been awarded. The site was handed over to the contractor somewhere last year, September. Up to now, the contractor has not come to site. And this is a big worry to all of us. So we have made a request through Urban Roads that they should change the contractor for us.
Well, I'll come back to the Greater Accra region and touch base with Maxwell Agbagba, like I said. But let me take you to the Western region now. And we're told residents there are also reeling under the devastation of yesterday's downpour. My colleague Samuel Kojo is in Accra, but he has his ears and eyes in the Western region and joins me in studio with what we've been finding on the ground in the Western region. Let's talk about the areas affected.
Yeah, so if you go to Mpho, for example, we're being told that Edumbanso is reeling under the impact of the flooding. Ayem, which is also a community in Mpho, is also being affected. When you come to Ahanta West, El Siejo is battered. I'm told that most people of the community have had to be evacuated from their homes because they cannot sleep in the homes now. NADMO tells me that they have moved all of them to a basic school in there and a Pentecost church in the community, and they are now sourcing for food to feed them because the devastation is just unimaginable, they tell me.
Hopefully we don't have any casualties.
Unfortunately, we do. Unconfirmed. My sources in Ayem are telling me one person has been found dead. They haven't been able to confirm the name yet, but they can tell me that one person has been dead. They are suspecting, however, that he is a Galamsea of Northern descent. So that's the information coming in.
Well, Samuel Kojo-Brace, thank you so much, and I'm sure he'll be providing details on Joy News Prime shortly.
Yeah, sure.
At 7 p.m.
Yes,
on the Joy News channel.
We'll be touching base with the NADMO director of the Western region as well.
Okay, we'll definitely catch that. But here in Accra, residents of Peace Town near Kaswa, but for the timely intervention of some persons who volunteered as lifeguards, 10 children and some adults would have died after the downpour. Many of the residents were compelled to stay home after a river in the community overflowed its banks, rendering the main road impassable. Maxwell Agbagba has been there for us, and here's his report.
Sounds of gushing water at the cut-off point here at Abamfru. Many of the residents here have been forced out of their homes by the flood water. The brave ones were compelled to move door to door, rescuing persons who were trapped. I've met Joseph Kwame. He helped rescue some of the affected persons. He says, but for their timely intervention, 10 children would have died in the flood.
People shouting, screaming, and then I went there to help them, and I saw people coming up from their houses, and they want to rescue people. So we gathered boys and also helped them to rescue some of the kids, like 10 kids. Doing that rescuing, and we saw a certain woman and two kids. Today I heard that they were rescued at this place.
Hundreds of residents are not willing to risk it through this flood water. Many of them who have no choice are compelled to wade through it. I've been speaking to a man who had to carry his sick son behind him to the hospital. He says the road to his residence is impassable and he couldn't wait for the water to subside before taking his son to the hospital.
Because of rain, this morning before you are going, you have to be full of where the chair coming, so my son is sick, so that's why I go to him.
All the taxi drivers in this community who ply these roads to Peace Town and its adjoining communities are idle today. There's no work to be done. I've been speaking to Seth Obin, who is one of them. He's frustrated about the situation.
But yesterday, what happened was terrible, and we couldn't even to cross the river. It's not easy for us. So we want our MP to come to the area to come and visit us. Since these problems happened, we haven't seen the MP around, especially the MC. He have to come and take care of the situation so that we know that we have elders somewhere. But there's nothing of sort going on.
Many of the residents here believe the flooding here persists because of the inaction of city authorities. They are threatening to boycott the 2024 elections. I've been speaking to one of them, Azumi Mahama. She says, look at how we have been displaced by the flood. When elections are getting closer, you see politicians trooping here. They should never step here in search of votes. Our children are not able to cross to school. If you are not strong, the water will sweep you away. Our MP does not do anything for us. He shouldn't step here, an angry Azumi Mahama said, with tears in her eyes.
That's Maxwell Agbagba's report from Peace Town near Kaswa here in the Greater Accra region. Well, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbing, is unhappy with the nation's readiness in averting the devastating effects of the flood. He's directing the Finance Minister, Ken Oforiatta, and his colleagues, Works and Housing Minister, Francis Asenso-Boakye, to appear before the House and brief MPs on the preparedness to prevent floods with the onset of the rains.
Why should they be desilting? We should construct structures in such a way that there are no open gutters. We should. The way we are looking at housing as if it's a private venture is wrong. The house you build is not for you. It's for the community. People come in at any time and sleep with you. And so the society has a role led by the state to provide shelter over the heads of people. That is a serious priority because after air, water, food, the next thing is what? Shelter. But we rather spend a lot of money on useless things. I will definitely give the instructions, and the instructions are to the effect that the minister responsible for Works and Housing be programmed by the business committee to appear before the House together with the Minister for Finance and to give us a brief on action being taken to make this a thing of the past. And so we expect that latest before the end of next week, these ministers should appear before us. Honorable members, this is a very important subject matter.
Well, so that's the Speaker's directive today. Well, the member of the Works and Housing Committee, Andrew Dari Chiwete, blamed recurring flood situation on the sector minister, who he accused of failing to live up to his responsibility.
The problem is huge. And you and I know the problem of Ghana, especially Accra. You see, for the flooding in Accra, we know it's perennial. It's something that happens almost every year. But as a people, I don't think we are investing enough to prevent it. I know there are people who deliberately cause some of these activities. Those who build on waterways, those who throw their waste products in gutters, those who construct even roads to their houses. They block some of the waterways. But I think as a people we should have laws that work. It's just because we do not implement our laws. We all know that every year as a ministry we need to drain to dredge the drains, especially the odor. But for some time now, they would mention to us they have done the dredging, yet you go there and you don't see any activity going on.
Well, it's a good time to bring in our latest episode of Floods of Trauma. We visited 5 different individuals who have separate stories about floods. Like a recurring nightmare, the fear of the rainy season grips their hearts as they bear witness to the rising waters that threaten to consume their homes and belongings. Michael Papani Ashale has today's edition of Floods of Trauma.
In Adabraka, a community very close to the Odona River, and this household right here has a peculiar relationship with floods. This wall that I sit on is arguably the only surviving one, because the others have all given way to the force of the floods. They have all tumbled down, and the residents share their story, at least the few remaining ones. In Adabraka, we met 2 brothers, Kofi Keke and Daniel Asiedu. Their house now floods after every heavy downpour. More recently, the force of the water collapsed their walls.
Last year, the flood came, and it came around 2:25 p.m. or a.m. Yeah, but I heard boom at once, and I realized what is happening. I think it's the tender, but I came from my room, and I see there's plenty water. By the moment I'm trying to come outside, and I see my wall has fell down at once. Boom! This is the wall. You can see the wall. This is the wall.
Their tenants have now taken the hard decision to vacate their rooms just before the rainy season.
If you look around here, no one is staying here. No one is staying here. No one. Everybody has gone.
Justina Adam is a seamstress. She moved into the neighborhood not long ago. Her first flood experience is now an indelible memory.
I didn't know it was this bad. I was home when I heard the whole place had flooded, and when I got here, most of my things were destroyed.
Now, she packs the cloth high up on the special shelf in her shop to avoid a repeat of history.
I had to dispose of them out of fear, and now pack the items high up on those shelves, and the rest I take home.
The perennial flood plague promises to hit again, and their savior, the Odo drain, which houses mainly the Odo River, is already half full with silt.
That's our Flood of Trauma series. Today's edition brought to you by Michael Ashali. Well, another disturbing situation. The report that we've been bringing you right from Top Story. A police officer has been shot and killed during a robbery incident in Ablekuma, here in the Greater Accra region. My colleague Maxwell Agbegba of our security desk has been finding out more on the situation and joins me in studio. Maxwell, first off, what are we learning?
So, MFA, we have the CCTV footage of what happened this afternoon, and everything happened so fast. We've been looking at the CCTV footage. It happened under 1 minute. The bullion van pulls up at a filling station with 3 other vehicles parked there. A motorbike with a pillion passenger follows the bullion van closely. The passenger gets down from the motorbike, runs to the front seat of the bullion van, opens the door of the bullion van, and then opens fire on the policeman. So the police officer who was at the front seats had no opportunity to defend himself whatsoever. It happened so fast. Another person who was part of the gang runs to take the policeman's weapon, and then they dash out from the filling station. Now, so 2 motorbikes from the CCTV footage. 2 motorbikes are involved in this act. 1 motorbike with a pillion passenger. The other has no passenger. Before they bolted from the scene, one of them came back to pick something from the floor. It looked like a backpack, but it wasn't too clear. It does not appear also that they picked anything from the bullion van.
And this is in broad daylight.
Yes, just this afternoon. And you can see it was not dark. People were going about their normal duties under 1 minute. All of these happened under 1 minute.
And earlier we've been talking about a police statement on this particular issue. Let's go through the statement from the police if we have it.
Yes. So the Ghana Police Service says they are on a manhunt to arrest the gang of 4 robbers who attacked the bullion van at Ablekuma Fan Milk, a suburb of Accra, and shot the police escort who has unfortunately passed on. Police says its prayers and thoughts are with the family of their deceased colleague in particular and all personnel of the police service in general. They are assuring the public that they will surely get the robbers arrested to face justice. And from what we saw from the CCTV footage, they were not wearing any mask. One of them was in a cap. So yeah, you can trust the police if they say they will bring them to face justice.
Well, but these days you see that these bullion vans are followed by armed military men.
Yeah.
I'm wondering whether there was any sight of them in this particular video that we're seeing from the CCTV footage.
From the CCTV footage, we did not see any military vehicle following this bullion van. It was just the bullion van that pulled up at the filling station.
And in the era where we cannot get access to the police to get further information, we'll have to wait for further statements from the police and public affairs directorate to find out more on this particular incident. But Maxwell Agbegba, I'm sure, is following this for us and give us more details.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, Maxwell. But let me take you to the court. And former Health Minister Alex Segbefia, former Controller and Accountant General Seydou Kotoma, and a former Budget Director at the Health Ministry, Patrick Nimo, have been ordered by an Accra High Court to appear and testify in the trial of Minority Leader Dr. Kesa Lato Forson. Well, Dr. Forson's lawyers urged the court to issue the order after they failed to call a witness at the court's hearing today. The Minority Leader and 2 others are standing trial for causing financial loss to the state in the procurement of ambulances for the country. He has so far been unable to directly call a witness to the stand. Well, the first witness who testified from his defense or from his defense team list was equally ordered to show up to testify. Legal Affairs correspondent Joseph Akable joins me via Zoom with further details. He's been following a number of cases in court today. We'll start with this particular one, Joseph. Give us a sense of the individuals penciled for the Minority Leader and which ones have committed to coming on their own to testify. Hello, Joseph. Well, Joseph is joining us via Zoom shortly, and we'll get further updates from him. Joseph, if you can hear me, if you can unmute, and then we can take it away. Do we have Joseph? Okay, we'll try one more time. And I know that Joseph is also following the case on the NDC's James Jachikwason, and the Supreme Court has handed the party and the James Jachikwason 7 days to file for a review of the decision which directed Parliament to expunge his name from its records. Well, this was after Mr. Kwason's lawyers had told the court they obtained a copy of the judgment late and will need time to challenge it. And that's one case, also 2 cases. And then there's another one on the OSP. That's the Secretary of the defunct Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Charles Bisu, has withdrawn one of his 3 cases against the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Well, Joseph thankfully joins us back on Zoom. So, Joseph, we are starting with this particular case involving the minority leader, Dr. Kese Latoforsini. I was asking you earlier to give us a sense of the individuals penciled by the minority leader and which ones have committed to coming on their own to testify.
So there's Seth Tekpe, the former finance minister, is on that list, and he is crucial to the testimony of Dr. Ataraire because we know that Dr. Forson is in court because of a letter that he had written to the Bank of Ghana and another to the Controller Accountant General, asking that letters of credit be established in the name of the Big C Trading Company Limited. And he had told the court, his lawyers had suggested to the court that he was doing that on behalf of the Minister of Finance. And the Minister of Finance at the time was Seth Tekpe. So he is quite crucial to this particular matter. There is also Alex Mood, former GNPC boss. There is Alex Segbefia, a former health minister. Dr. Sam Mensah, whom we understand was an advisor to the Ministry of Finance. Patrick Nimo, currently a chief director at the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, as well as Seydou Kontoma, who we are told is a former controller and accountant general. In terms of those who have indicated that they will be testifying, we understand that Seth Tekpe has committed to testifying via a video link. And there's also Alex Mood, who has actually filed a witness statement already. And so it was in respect of Alex Segbefia, the former Minister of Health, Patrick Nimo, and Seydou Kontoma, the former Controller and Accountant General, that lawyers for Dr. Forson made that application, which has been granted by the court. And so Alex Segbefia, for instance, has been ordered to appear in the court on 29th of June to testify.
Well, we understand the judge was quite clear that should they fail to show up, she'll issue a warrant of arrest.
In fact, she made reference to a case that she had dealt with, that she had issued orders in relation to a senior customs official. And she said in that particular instance, once the order was issued and that official failed to show up, she issued a warrant for his arrest. And when he was arrested, he was in custody till he finished testifying. And so he says that is what will be an option if these individuals fail to show up at the next date. And so they've all been assigned different day slots and time slots to show up. And so starting with Alex Segbefia, the former Minister of Health, he's supposed to show up on the 29th of June at 10 a.m. And should he fail to do so, then the court will issue a warrant for his arrest.
Now, Joseph, let's touch on the other cases that you've been following in court today. First, the one on the Supreme Court. And we know they've handed James Jachikwason 7 days to file for a review of the decision. I bet you've been finding out what exactly they're seeking to achieve with this process, knowing well that the by-election is just next week.
I mean, the point that is being made is that as far as they are concerned, they have made that point consistently, that the decision of the Supreme Court, that judgment that said that he was not qualified to contest the 2020 parliamentary polls, they hold a view that that decision, the judges committed fundamental errors of law. And there is a window for a review period, and it is at the verge of elapsing. That's how come they made this application that the Supreme Court grants them an extension of time. And so they have gotten 7 days. It was heard by a single judge, Justice Enesgao, who heard this particular matter, and he granted a 7-day extension to afford them the opportunity to file for the review. What accounted for the delay in filing it has to do with the fact that, the judgment of the court also took a bit of time before it was also released. But the point is being made that they are exploring all avenues while contesting the polls. The other option is that this could also be an avenue for him to find his way back into parliament. And so they do not want to leave any stone unturned.
And the case involving the Secretary of the defunct Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Charles Bisu, we know he's withdrawn one of his 3 cases against the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Let's go through it, and then what more you've been gathering from the lawyers of Mr. Bisu. Hello, Joseph.
Hello, MFI. So 3 cases. The one which has been withdrawn has to do with one that he filed at the General Jurisdiction Court, judicial review, he had made the point that he had concerns with how he believed the special prosecutor had procured an arrest warrant from the court and wanted the court to deal with that particular matter. He also wanted the court to stop him from the OSP from investigating him, making a point that he believes that Anas Anas should have also been a subject of investigation, since it is his documentary and in which some individuals he believes to be Anas were offering bribes that formed the base for that particular investigation. So he has withdrawn that particular matter. There are two other matters. One that he alleges that his rights have been breached at the Human Rights Division. Then there's another one that he raises the issue that because he had been investigated by the police, he doesn't think that the matter should be investigated by the special prosecutor again. We understand from his lawyer's perspective that yes, he has already appeared before the OSP, so that takes care of some of the matters. But they also make the point that the other two cases also are very similar in nature to the one that they've withdrawn. And so they are deciding to pursue those two cases strongly. And so that is it by way of the matter involving the Secretary of the Defunct Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining at Charles Bissio.
Always a delight interacting with you, Joseph Akable, as you break down issues happening in court. Thank you so much. Well, this is Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra. In Kumasi, we are on Love 99.5 FM, a number of affiliates dotted across Ghana's 16 regions. We're on myjoyonline.com. We're on all our social media platforms. And WhatsApp line is 055 1111997. And George Wiafe is in the studios with the latest from the world of business. Hello, George.
Hi, MFN. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, George.
I don't know whether last week how are you going to fuel your vehicle, because there are implications that there could be supply challenges. The fuel tanker drivers are set to embark on a sit-down strike from Monday over poor road conditions in the Tema Enclave. It's terrible, and they are worried about the safety of these products that they transport. And over the past 2 years, nothing has been done about it. Okay. And so they have declared the intention to strike. We're getting you more details on that one. And also, the independent power producers finally notify Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta of intention to cut supplies from July 1, 2023. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Allianz Live and Ghana Pay.
When everything worth doing is scheduled, hitting the stop button on your alarm just in time for your morning jog. That's happy moments listening to your baby's heartbeat at the doctor's office. Or an arranged virtual meeting with that big client.
Buy airtime ahead of time with scheduled airtime service on MTN Momo. You can schedule your airtime purchase of any amount daily, weekly, or monthly by dialing *170# option 3 and follow the process. Or simply dial *170*311# for a superb airtime purchase experience. You enjoy 100% bonus airtime anytime you recharge yourself with MTN Momo. Keep on talking with that 100% feeling. So, what are we doing today?
MTN.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom. And my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
I'm a
di asambisa na mo. Enti emrati no, mumu hwan pa na tumi hwe na mo bodompe mo man yakono.
Eye kwabna.
Na mumu hwan so na tumi tasmale me ma yene nyina de.
Eye kojo.
Enu kro, kwabra tumi hwe na bodompe mo sense o yusu accident eba. Ayede yan ban ne do braye. Wo sie ti na mo ban na sem mana hode ne.
Sa,
ani na kudwonso yusu accident chako. Na enu ne de e ma wo se wo ye kregen fita. Na watimi asiri bedwo mama na feel you.
Ey kojo sa.
Yeah. Pepsodent Heba and Pepsodent Charcoal. Afedie.
Ya kono natural.
FDIJ Gideon Ataraire.
Have you noticed that Ghana has suffered lack of attendance at stadia across the country in recent years? Well, the Multimedia Group wants to be part of the solution, which is why we're calling on you, our dear listener, to help us. Our sister station, Inshira FM in Kumasi, has been on a nationwide campaign to identify factors influencing poor patronage of Ghana Premier League matches. This campaign has been widely discussed on traditional and social media since the beginning of the year. And after widespread stakeholder engagement, we have a list of questions in a survey that will help us come out with a communique based on science and data, and we need you to assist by completing this survey. The link to the survey is bit.ly/PhilGPL questionnaire. Once again, bit.ly/PhilGPL questionnaire. Please help Inshira FM and the Multimedia Group complete the survey in order to have a scientific response to this national problem.
You're welcome back to Business on News Night. Now, fuel tanker drivers are set to strike for Monday over poor road conditions in the Tema Industrial Enclave, another fuel depot in the country. Details in the following Business Desk report.
The tanker drivers' intention to strike come Monday was captured in a letter cited by Joy Business to management of the Tema Oil Refinery. The tanker drivers say they have been forced to take this action because all attempts to get government to deal with their concerns have not gotten the desired results. The drivers in the letter to TOR management recounts engagements with National Petroleum Authority, which all have not led to any action being taken on these roads. The challenge is not only with the Tema Industrial Enclave, as the drivers indicate that other fuel depots in the country are having a similar challenge in terms of road network. The drivers have also told Joy Business that these concerns have gone as high as the presidency and the Minister of Transport, but no action has been taken. They are worried the nature of these roads could result in a disaster when they are transporting petroleum products. The action could result in the supply of petroleum products being affected badly from next week if the issue is not resolved.
And that is a Business Desk report. Now, independent power producers have formally notified the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, over their intention to cut power supply from July 1, 2023. The action has been influenced by lack of progress to settle more than 2 billion Ghana cedis debt owed these power producers. Chief Executive of the Independent Power Producers, Eliklim Akotagbo, has been speaking to Joy Business.
We are critically challenged, facing financial difficulties. We have made these challenges known to government, ECB for that matter, but have not received the needed attention. We indicated that we are unable to guarantee supply after June 30th, just because we do not have the resources to do so. For us, where we are now, what we want to see is the cash in our account to continue the operation. We are on standby for that. If World Bank is able to intervene as early as possible, we'll be it.
Chief Executive of the Independent Power Producers, Eliklim Akotagbo. Now, challenges with oil production impacted negatively on the performance of industry with the first quarter of this year. This was captured in the latest GDP estimates for the first 3 months of this year. There is more in this report.
Oil production over the years has been one of the major contributors to industry's performance when it comes to GDP calculation. Therefore, any challenge in that area will definitely impact the economy. Some analysts are linking the challenge to drop in oil production and difficulties in securing approval from government when it comes to their new oil production and work on new fields. On the construction subsector, Joy Business is learning that one of the major reasons that contributed to its contraction was issues with clinker importation by the cement manufacturing firms, which impacted on the sector's performance. The Ghana Statistical Service data on the first quarter GDP estimates showed that all the subsectors did contract, apart of electricity, which went up by over 3%. However, Joy Business is learning that the sector could have done better than what was recorded. It's one of the independent power firms was not shut down due to some internal issues. The Ghana Statistical Service is, however, optimistic about the industry sector picking up in the coming month. This is due to the fact that its performance for the first quarter of this year was somehow impacted by some shocks coming from COVID-19 related activities. So, if these challenges should be dealt, then the performance of industry could pick up strongly.
And that is the Business Desk report. Now, Chairman of Oakwood Green Africa, Gabriel Edgar, is making a strong case for Ghana to explore intra-Africa trade to help transform its economy. Mr. Edgar, who is also the chief executive of the investment group, said this at the launch of the Africa Trade Gateway as part of the Afri-Exim Bank's annual general meeting in Accra. Mr. Edgar highlighted the significance of these platforms in unlocking Africa's trade potential for Ghana.
We must start thinking global Africa immediately. Expanded markets, which will be given to you by trader and that thing. Diverse partnerships. Private sector, don't think local, think Africa. That's all I came here to advise you on. Access to financial markets, what are you doing to provide that? We are trying to be a conduit for capital into the continent. What are you doing? Leverage technology. There are technology houses here. Don't restrict it to Ghana. Don't restrict it to Zimbabwe. Do it Africa-wide. Logistics. I know my friend is doing a lot in that. Knowledge, training, that essential training that is required. Entrepreneurs here, let's pick it up. This is what I'm saying.
Chairman of Oakwood Green Africa, Gabriel Edgar. The UK government has announced a new partnership with developing countries, including Ghana, to support their economic resilience to the wake of the climate crisis. To this end, the UK Export Credit Agency, that is the UK Export Finance, will work with 12 partner African countries in the Caribbean to allow them defer debt repayment if it will hit climate issues and also things affecting the economy. The announcement comes as the UK Minister for Development in Africa, Andrew Mitchell, presented the UK government at a summit for new global financing pact in Paris. And MFA, tonight on PM Express, we're looking at the state of business registration in Ghana today. How long it takes for you to register your business and what has been done to simplify the process for you. All these answers will be on PM Express at 9 p.m. with the Registrar of Companies, Jemima Owari. And I think you should make a date.
Yeah, I need to know the status of my company registered and all that. So we'll definitely tune in and to hear more on what we have to do going forward.
And it's all on our social media platforms at 9 p.m. to talk about business registration in Ghana today.
Okay, and I'm sure we're getting ready for Impact Makers.
Yeah, of course.
Tomorrow, 10 awardees, and it's tomorrow at 7 p.m. It will be on the Joy News channel. We're heading to the Labadi Beach.
Can it open? Can people come there? Or?
Yes, only for invitation, by invitation.
Yeah, those who've also been nominated,
exactly,
right?
And those
so you have to watch it on
awardees
TV.
And their families and friends and loved ones. But I'll be there.
But the spectators can watch on
Yes, it will be
TV.
live on the Joy News channel, all our social media
Be interesting.
platforms.
I mean, it's good to celebrate some of these people out there who are doing great things in their community that nobody's seeing them.
And
These
I see
are the
way
real.
a lot of people are supporting Ellen White, for instance, and we'll get more.
These are the real change makers in the community.
Of course, very important. Thank you, George Riafe, bringing us the latest from the world of business, and we're getting ready for Impact Makers. We'll talk more about it, and the lead on this, Mmefa Atiamwa Ewenam Eli, will join us later with details of it. But let me bring in Musbao, and he's joined us with the latest from the world of sports.
For a moment,
all the way.
Yeah, I'm Somajan. For a moment, I thought you were referring to yourself, and so I heard the other names. I said, okay.
Yes, we're two MFS in the news.
Okay, I didn't hear the pause. So I said, okay, that's not you.
That's not me.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get to Parliament and Majority Chief Whip Frank Anodomprey. He's been eulogized, and former Black Stars captain Asamoah Gyan calling the nation to honor him for his exploits. The Ghana top scorer, who is also the first international player to score in 9 successive tournaments, announces retirement from football. And making a statement on the floor of the House, the Majority Chief Whip said Asamoah Gyan brought glory and honor to the country. And also on his part, former Youth and Sports Minister Dr. Rashid Pelpo touted Gyan's unifying qualities. Let's hear from him, but first, Majority Chief Whip Frank Anodomprey.
History of our game in Ghana, many iconic players have graced our pitches with the tenacity and finesse of beautiful feet. Statistics in African and Ghanaian football are replete with legendary tales of such players, and one that has stood tall in the history of our game in the recent decade is none other than the legendary Asamoah Gyan. Speaker, it might be debatable who is considered the greatest of all time in the Ghanaian football, with the likes of Baba Yara, Abdul Razak, Abedi Pele, Tony Yeboah, and so forth. As such, we all may have our favorites on the pitch. Asamoah Gyan is undoubtedly one of the best in the past 2 decades. 2003, the Speaker, he started his professional football and has left a big impression, not just in Ghana, but throughout the world, where he roamed in Europe, in Asia, and in all these places, he carried the name of Ghana very high. And I'm happy we are celebrating him today, because it's good to celebrate people when they are alive. And he exiting from football is giving us a reason to say that it is time for us to also recognize what he has done and play the game he played all these years. He played for everybody, and let us all play for him. That today we are recognizing him as a whole for what he has done for Ghana.
Last voice we heard is the former Youth and Sports Minister Dr. Rashid Pelpo, and earlier we had Majority Chief Whip Frank Anodomprey there. That's it for sports. MFA brought to you by Pepsodent Herbal and Chaco. Pepsodent, every smile matters.
Definitely. I'm sure we are getting ready for Idul Adha.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for the meat. But
Lots
it looks like
meats,
Anthrax wants to get in our way. But we'll get details of that. But news just coming in from our partners, the BBC. All 5 passengers on the missing Titan submersible are believed to be dead. And this according to the company which operates the vessel. We'll give you more on myjoyonline.com as well. And I'm sure you've been following this particular situation. 5 explorers set out to visit the Titanic, where it is under the ocean, and just to explore. And all 5 of them, we are told, are believed to be dead, says the company which operates the vessel. There's more on myjoyonline.com, also on our partners, the BBC. Well, I've been talking about anthrax, and as we prepare for Idul Adha, the holiday next week, Wednesday, the number of cattle that have died from the anthrax outbreak in the Upper East region has now reached 99, spreading from the Binduri district to 5 other districts. Tonight, there's concern that the continuous spread of the disease could spark a national crisis as Muslims prepare to celebrate Eid next week. The outbreak was detected at the start of this month with 4 suspected cases and 1 death. The Upper East Regional Minister Stephen Yakubu says vaccination is being scaled up, and we are told Zipline offers bringing the vaccines to the area with drones. But first, let's bring in head of our health desk, Fred Smith. He's been monitoring this situation for us, joins us on the line on Zoom with more from what we are learning. Fred, so bring us up to speed exactly with the numbers and what is being done.
Well, indeed, Abefa, we've so far recorded 99 deaths from anthrax, as we said earlier. The deaths have happened in Talensi, Binduri, where the whole thing started, Boga Municipal, Boku West, Boku Municipal, and Bongo.
And let's talk about vaccination. How exactly is it going?
Well, the authorities in the region, the Upper East region, have vaccinated so far nearly 30,000 animals. And these are goats, cattle, sheep, and
Are we there, Fred? It appears I've just lost Fred Smith there, but he's giving us the situation on that. But we can hear from the minister.
And also with the people on the ground, getting the vaccines in time and vaccinating the remnants. So far we've done 40,000, and we are continuing today. Today is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Hopefully by weekend, Saturday, we'll reevaluate and see how many we have done so far, and then the technical people will be able to tell us on which level we are. Then we can think about what to do. We're working towards lifting it before the celebrations. That's what we are doing. But nothing is guaranteed. Even this morning we had 2 animals dying in Bolga here, and we've taken samples and sent it to Pont Tamale to know whether it's anthrax or not.
Well, that's the regional minister there, the Upper East regional minister. Meanwhile, butchers at Tulaku have expressed concern about the escalating cost of importing cattle from Togo due to the high safer against the city. Listen to some of them.
The goods from the north coming here, they now diverted them from Togo to come to here. And because of the safer rate, it is affecting it because the safer changing is high. When you convert the city to the safer, it is too small. And look at the French country people too. They don't value whether it has changed or not. If your currency is still high, that is already affecting the market. So you may see a cattle of 5,000, which you cannot even believe is a 5,000 cattle.
Well, so that's the situation. Well, tonight, Speaker of Parliament is firing salvos at government demanding an immediate removal of taxes on sanitary pads. There's been a rise in calls on government to remove the taxes, with protesters picketing Parliament early today to make similar demands. Well, the Speaker received them and has been interacting with them, and he actually suspended sitting to meet the protesters and came back to the floor fuming. Listen to him.
This is about the taxes on sanitary pads. We are saying
we had a group picketing outside, and I invited the leadership, and the issue they raised was a very serious issue. My attention was drawn to it already. Why should we, as members, honorable member, why should we pass a law imposing tax on sanitary pads? This is unconscionable. It's a cardinal sin. The House shouldn't have allowed it at all. This House shouldn't have allowed it. You know the impact of that law on the human resource development and on the development of this country is immeasurable. That is why I suspended sitting and had to attend to them. I have a copy of the petition, and we have to take immediate action to prevent whoever is the minister proposing that thing to take it off. The next budget, it must not appear, it cannot be a tax. Please. I take a very serious view on this matter. It was even raised at a forum in Tamale. Why?
So that's the Speaker of Parliament there on the issues about taxes. But of course, we've been hearing from the Association of Ghana Industries, the AGI, and they are questioning government on the removal of taxes on imported sanitary pads. Well, they wish to caution government that any policy measure that seeks to remove taxes on imported sanitary pads at the expense of local manufacturers of same will be very detrimental to our economy, much as the waiver of duties or taxes on imported sanitary pads for our young women to make the parts more affordable may sound good. This will only end up completely wiping out the few local sanitary pad factories left in our country. Therefore, the association is of the view that the call for the removal of duties on imported sanitary pads is misplaced. Our local manufacturers of sanitary pads and diapers have been under pressure from cheap and substandard imports which sell at closeout. The few sanitary pad manufacturers with capacity to expand are only producing at about 30% capacity on account of the influx of such imports, and some of the factories are already out of business and have sent workers home. So to further eliminate taxes on such imports will certainly collapse the few factories left or compel them to fold up and become mere importers. Our young women deserve affordable sanitary pads, but granting tax waivers on imported sanitary pads is not the way to go. With the right incentives and support, these local companies can meet domestic demand, saving the country jobs and Forex. So portions of a statement issued by the AGI on the issue about removal of taxes on imported sanitary pads. Time for Tech Thursday, and efficient farm equipment is crucial in sustainable agriculture. More so, tools capable of executing several tasks at the same time can make farming enjoyable. This is what the students of Obuasi Senior High Technical School have been able to conceive. The students have been able to build a solar-powered electric farm solution capable of spraying, weeding, and checking soil temperature and moisture at the same time. Love FM's Kwesi Deborah caught up with them and reports for Tech Thursday.
The machine, which can be controlled manually and remotely, consists of a solar panel, a mower, a Bluetooth device for connecting to nearby mobile devices, among others.
There are basically 3 of them. One for digging through the soil, another for turning up and down the soil, and another for cutting. This particular device is used for weeding and spraying pesticides and fertilizers onto the crops. The beautiful thing about this project is that it can be controlled both manually and remotely. This is the second part of our project work, which is able to irrigate automatically, determine weather condition, and also turn on alarm to scare intruders from the farm. Another good thing about this aspect of project is that all data gathered by the device is sent via Bluetooth to the farmer's mobile phone. This helps the farmer to make decisions and also manage the farm very well. We chose Bluetooth over Wi-Fi because you need not to pay for internet service.
Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
And that's how we wrap up today's edition of Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra and Kumasi, on Love 99.5 FM. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Personality Profile is up next. We'll bring you a playback of a conversation Lexis Bill had with Mr. Gideon Ataraire, CEO, Allianz Life Insurance Ghana. Do stay for that exciting conversation. I am Emefa Apau. Have a good evening.